Adding a line to data. Here I'm going to talk about the slightly more complicated case where you use a more general formula for a line that you're fitting, and that is y equal ax plus b. So switching over to Excel, you can see here I have a new data set. The x values are actually the same as in the first fitting data screencast, but now I have a different set of y values. So let's plot these and see what they look like. So you can see now this looks fairly close to a straight line, although there's some noise around it, but it's not a straight line going through the origin. So what we now need is to figure out the best values of a and b so that the line y equal ax plus b is the best line fit through the data in the least squares sense. So we can try and test out a line. We can just get a guess at a line. So there's an a value that I'll define my guess value, and then I'll plot the points down here, x and y. And now let's say for a, I'll try out a slope of, let's see, it's going from 0 to 6, and it's going from 5 to, so about a slope close to 1 might do. And the intercept looks like it's somewhere around 4. So let's plot points. So let's just use the span of the data. So I'm going to use the min of all the x values as my first point on the line, and the max of the x values for the other x coordinate. And now for the y coordinate, we're just going to use the formula of the line, which is y equal ax plus b. In this case, a is in b5, and that multiplies the x value, which is directly above, plus b is in b6. And there is the y-coordinate of the first point, and there is the y-coordinate of the second point. So now let's add this. So we right-click on the plot and select data, and we'll add the line y equal ax plus b to the plot. So let's choose our x values, these two here, choose our y values, these two here, and good. And now let's click on that and turn that into a line, because that's not our data, that's our model. And that looks okay, maybe it's a little bit high. So let's figure out exactly what that value should be. So our first step is to grab our formula for a and for b from the course notes. So what do we need for a and b? The first thing we need, so all of the a and b, the formulas for a and b both are going to require all sorts of sums of x and y products and squareds and such. So let's put in a few extra rows here and calculate all of those quantities. So the first one we need is the product of x and y added up. You need the value, this one multiplied by b1. Okay, and let's take the product of that all the way across. And that's the product of x and y. Now the formula for a requires the sum, or actually the average of all those, the sum divided by n. So equal the average of all of these cells, and that's p_av in the formula. Put that down here, p average. And then what else did we need? The other quantity we needed was x squared, the average x squared value. So here we're going to take the x value and square it for each cell, and then we'll copy that so that we get every data point's x value squared. And now let's get the x squared average value here. The average of all of these cells So we also needed the average x value, average of, and then we go through all the x values, and the average y value. So that's x average and y average. So now we have all those, we can put those together into the formula. So we need here, what we need is p average, which is this guy, minus the product of the x and y averages divided by the x squared average minus the x average squared. And you can see again, the slope of the line is actually fairly close to my guess. And what about the b value? How did I do with the b value? For the b value, which quantities do we need? Y average minus, and now we have to use our calculated a value multiplied by the x average. And that's our b value. So I wasn't quite as close with the b value. So let's change the formula here. Instead of referring to the a and b that I guessed, let's use the calculated values. So the slope is now, instead of b9, we want to use b14. And for the intercept, instead of using b10, we want to use b15. And you can see that was slightly corrected. Okay, so that is how you use the spreadsheet to calculate best fit lines.